everyone, welcome to Tracking Trump on DeKoder. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Thanks very much for joining us. What an eventful week it has been in America. So much has happened that one almost did not know where to begin this week's episode. So we decided to focus on the two things that have been making headlines across the world. The first is Trump's crackdown against illegal immigrants in California and his big beautiful feud with Elon Musk that seems to have come to an end. I don't think many of us doubted that when two narcissistic billionaires are in the same room together, one day it was going to end badly. But perhaps no one had anticipated how quickly that relationship would unravel, with the two men trading barbs and insults on social media. Since then, Elon Musk has deleted many of those posts and in fact has now said that he regrets what he said about Trump. Trump himself has not sold the Tesla that he famously bought earlier this year, so there appears to be some kind of a reconciliation on the cards. Although Tesla itself as a company has been in deep trouble with sales down, especially in crucial markets like Europe. The Trump-Musk story was all the rage in the news until this happened, when Donald Trump decided to go after undocumented immigrants in California with a heavy hand, resulting in huge protests in the Democrat state and an unprecedented constitutional crisis as the president bypassed the state's governor and called in the National Guard and now the Marines. Los Angeles in particular has seen huge protests in parts of the city, mostly peaceful, but some have turned violent as well. That's why the mayor ordered a curfew in downtown LA. The protests have since spread to other US cities where more demonstrations are planned over the course of the next few days. For Trump, this standoff over immigration in fact plays exactly into his hands because this was an issue which was very central to his victory last November. Well, to talk to us about both these big developments in the news space in Trump world this week, we have Jonah Blank. He has been advisor to former President Biden. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. today. Thank you very much, Mr. Blank, for being with us. And Puneet Ahluwalia, who is a Republican strategist and advisor, joining us from the state of Virginia, not far from Washington, D.C. either, on the East Coast. Thank you very much to both of you for being with us. Jonah Blank, to you first. What we are seeing happening in California at the moment is unprecedented in America. The last time a governor was bypassed and central troops, in a sense, were sent in was during the civil rights movement many decades ago. And it hasn't happened since then. Just give us first your overall take on what is happening and how seriously this could spiral now to other cities, these protests.
Yes, well, you're absolutely right. And thank you for having me. This is something that has not occurred in modern American history. The last time that a president federalized National Guard was during the civil rights movement, when governors of southern states refused to enforce the laws allowing Black people to go to school and to have other public services. That's exactly what is not happening today. Right now, Donald Trump has federalized the National Guard to impose a, frankly, dictatorial movement upon a state that has not asked for it, does not want it, does not need it. And he's not doing it simply against illegal immigrants. He's doing it against everyone.
And the implications of that, firstly, constitutionally, I know that California has now decided to sue the Trump administration for bypassing the governor. Governor Newsom has also made an address on television where he's called this unconstitutional and attacked this decision. But legally, constitutionally, there are huge ramifications of this, aren't there, Mr. Blank?
Yeah, most definitely. Donald Trump is clearly wrong under the law and under the Constitution. He has methods of nationalizing the National Guard or federalizing the National Guard under the Insurrection Act. He has not availed himself of that. Even if he did that, it would be a terrible dictatorial move, but he hasn't even taken the legal steps necessary to do it. He has essentially said that this is a foreign invasion, which it isn't. It's just not. So it's clearly illegal. It's clearly unconstitutional. But more to the point, here in America, just as in India, the idea of using the military against one's own citizens and legal residents is an enormous imposition of force that is utterly unnecessary.
Puneet Ahluwalia, would you like to respond to that? The heavy-handedness that Donald Trump is being criticized for, the illegality, the unconstitutionality of the move, which of course the courts will now probably have to rule on. But, is this exactly what he wanted in a sense, Mr. Ahluwalia, to sort of polarize society further on an issue that really won him the election?
Well, we're already a polarized nation. If you see most leadership votes according to, especially the Democratic leadership, all vote lock, stock, and barrel, whereas the Republicans will give a pushback on the big, beautiful bill, which President Trump is trying to get through. But more importantly, on the National Guard, I think during the time of the Rodney King verdict, I think the National Guard was called out too. I think this is very important for the viewers to understand.
With the state's consent, which is the key difference.
But the key thing is you have to also realize Gavin Newsom is also positioning himself to the rudderless Democratic leadership that he is the next leader of the Democratic Party, and he is also vying to be the next presidential candidate for the Democrats. So he has to show that he has a spine, which he didn't when he was having the LA fires and when people lost millions of dollars of home and their memorabilia in every aspect of their livelihood in LA, and exactly why companies are losing and moving out of California. He was not there. But now when it comes to the mandate given to President Trump by the American people to crack down on illegal aliens or illegal immigrants, and he's trying to do the job, and you attack the ICE agents, you attack the federal buildings, you attack people and their businesses, what do you expect the president to do? Of course, Governor, the Democratic Party stands for lawlessness, and you saw what happened after like burning down and picketing and creating riots and chaos in the state and the cities. That's what the Democrats do.
Let me just ask you two quick follow-up questions to that. Sure. Just sorry to interrupt you.
One more thing.
One follow-up to that. One is that by all American media reports, there has not been any widespread chaos or rioting in California, in LA. There have been mostly peaceful protests. Some did turn violent, which is why the mayor ordered curfew. But I'm asking you, politics aside, do you think it sets a dangerous precedent when a state's governor is bypassed in this way and central troops are brought in?
Ma'am, if you see how the intimidation on the ICE officers are, you see the rocks being thrown on the ICE cars and trucks, what do you expect the president to do? Don't we want to safeguard our men and women in blue? And more importantly, you ask the people in California, most people are very unhappy that the governor is siding with the lawlessness and the rioters. That's the problem. The Democratic Party and the leadership always stand on the side of the people who want to break the law. And
Mr.
that's
Blank,
the problem.
do you want to respond to that? That this is is there an exaggerated sense of what exactly has played out in Los Angeles?
Sure.
And the Republican Party seems keen to blame the governor, saying that Trump is just doing his job. This was the mandate that won him the election. He's just doing what he actually said he would do.
It's not only him.
You're quite right.
Mr. Blank.
This is a complete exaggeration. You're quite right. This is a complete exaggeration. If you just look at any of the reporting from LA, if you just talk to anyone from LA, these are peaceful protests. There is minor vandalism. And the LAPD has openly said, has issued statements saying, we've got this. We're able to control it. We're the police force. There is absolutely no need to send in the military for a few broken windows. That's what the police are for. Why is Trump sending in the military? For exactly the same reason he tried to do this in his first term. He told his Secretary of Defense to shoot protesters. His Secretary of Defense refused to do that. Now he's trying to do exactly the same thing, and he's looking for a way to create violence and to shoot and to send tear gas and brutality against people who are protesting his awful policies.
Mr. Ahluwalia, how would you respond to the criticism that Mr. Blank is also suggesting right now, which is that this is an increasing authoritarian streak in Mr. Trump, where he is stomping upon all norms, laws, and just wants to have his way. And therefore, this sets a very dangerous precedent for American democracy, if it hasn't already
Nidhi,
been heard.
You all in the DeKoder were so concerned about the democracy. And look at the cabinet chosen by the President Trump. It's a diverse cabinet of people who are Democrats, mainstream folks, in every aspect of it. please understand this thing. Our democracy and our republic is safe. President Trump is trying to ensure that our ICE agents, people who are doing and carrying out the rule of law, which is what people want in America, and most importantly, the mandate given to President to get the illegal immigrants and the violent immigrants out of this country. And that's what he's exactly trying to do.
But are all undocumented immigrants violent? Are all of them criminals?
No, that's the reason I said that to you, is that anybody in the new administration at this point, the mandate given is to get all the illegal immigrants who are especially convicts, people who are bad actors, to be out. And at the same time, there has been a provision given. If you're illegal, leave the country and you'll be fine, and then come back legally. The important thing for folks to understand is following the rule of law. We are a country of rules and regulations. Follow the law and everything should be fine. And that's what President Trump is trying to set up. And the Democratic Party is standing for, remember the one, defund the police? This is what they stand for. They are the ones who want to defund the police.
You're right that this was the core agenda of Mr. Trump and the Republican Party. Mr. Blank, could you explain to us the nuance here, which is that, obviously illegal immigration is something that struck a chord across communities who voted for Mr. Trump, including Hispanic men, for example, ironically. So obviously illegal immigration is a sore point even amongst voters. But also that, on the face of it, one could say, well, obviously, if someone has not got the papers and if they are illegally staying in the US, they don't have a right to stay there. But why is this such a gray area in America? Because it is these same undocumented workers who have also now come to be part of, in a way, the economy, different sectors, construction, etc. And, in a way, are kind of holding up different sectors of the economy in the US. So is that what makes this a particularly gray issue, not necessarily a black and white one?
Yes, exactly that. There are perhaps 11 million illegal or undocumented immigrants in America right now, and the vast majority of them are law-abiding, good, productive members of society. If you have had any work done at your house, you have almost certainly had that work done by someone without proper documentation. If you've gone to dinner in a restaurant, you very likely had your food served and definitely had your food harvested by someone who is here without proper documentation. The Trump policy is not to target criminals. In fact, just today there was a report in the New York Times that only 1/4 of the people expelled by ICE have any criminal records whatsoever. This is simply about getting rid of all immigrants, legal, illegal, whatever, to impose a vision of America that we have never had and should never have.
But let me ask you a political question, Mr. Blank, about how the Democratic Party is handling this, because immigration, as we all agree, has been such a big political issue in the US. And for the Democrats, therefore, it's a bit of a political tightrope, isn't it, how they handle this? And at one level, pointing out what they see as the authoritarian tendencies of the president, the heavy-handedness with which, the forces are being used. But on the other hand, also perhaps turning a sympathetic ear, to those who have concerns about illegal immigrants. And that's why even within the Democratic Party, you have those who are veering a little more towards the Republicans and their point of view on immigration, because, the party is worried that it might be too radically left. How do you see it?
Yes, I think you're right. Immigration is a very tough issue and an issue with a lot of gray area. Everyone in America knows immigrants, every legal and illegal. Everyone is descended, with a very few exceptions, from immigrants at some point. These are our neighbors, our family members, parts of the community. The Democrats do not want to enable violent criminals to be part of this, and don't. However, you're absolutely right. There's a gray area. What do you do with 11 million people, most of whom are productive members of society, when our immigration system is broken? It takes far too long for a legal, good and needed immigrant to come to the country. We have to fix our immigration policy, but we have to do it in a way that does not turn us into a brutal autocracy.
Mr. Ahluwalia, do you think that while the goals of dealing with illegal immigration on one hand can be pursued, can there be a more humane way with which to deal with this? I think we've just lost his line. I'll ask Mr. Blank about that. Is there a more humane way to deal with the issue of illegal immigration, or is the nature of these raids such that it's going to be brutal? Mr. Blank.
Well, these raids are unnecessary and unnecessarily brutal. And the reason for that is that the Trump administration has put a demand on ICE that they triple the number of daily deportations. And there just are not that many criminals out there to get and grab and deport. So the protests in LA have come from ICE going outside 7-Elevens. From ICE going outside 7-Elevens, Home Depots, places where day laborers will congregate to be gainfully employed. So ICE has not been going after hardcore criminals. It's been going after productive members of society simply to meet an artificial quota. Your question, is there a more humane way of doing this? Yes, absolutely. Target criminals, not the vast mass of immigrants who are doing nothing wrong.
Well, we have Mr. Ahluwalia back with us. Mr. Ahluwalia, I was trying to ask you before. Sorry, we lost it. Well, that's okay. Technology is the way it is, but we live and learn. Is there a more humane way to deal even with undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants? I mean, that the stories are not cut and dry. There are even so many Indians, today who may have illegally immigrated, but their kids grew up, they were born in the US, they're productive members of society today. It's not a black and white issue.
Nidhi, this is a very important issue, as I agree to Mr. Blanc, that it's an important issue that we have a broken system which we need to fix it, and that depends on the Congress. But it starts with, first thing is, President Biden had an open border which led to millions of people to come to the United States. It was unchecked. And as of today, if you see, nobody's coming to the United States because they all know they're going to be turned back. At the same time, there's a rule of law that's being followed by President Trump. And that first is to make the community safe and secure. At the same time, the other mandate, which is about stopping the illegal immigration coming to the countries, to our nation from different countries. The second was to get the bad actors out. At the same time, people who are illegals, to get them out, to really not have them be dependent on the American system, which is for the veterans, teachers, families, and the Americans who need it first. And if you've seen it, that in New York, illegal immigrants and bad actors were staying in hotels and they were being given checks day by day on a daily basis. That's the problem we have with the Democratic leadership. And yes, we do want to take care of the immigrants who are here, who are most of them hardworking, committed to the American dream. At the same time, now they are part of our families. And yes, I blame the Congress for taking too long to find a solution for that. But it has to start from someplace. And it's a tough place. It's a hard place. And I'm glad that President Trump has at least started the rule of law to be started so that people start to realize that if you want to come to the United States, you have to come legally. Otherwise, you'll be basically sent back immediately from where you came from. That's first is you draw the line in the sand and you stick with that. At the same time, we work with the Congress to find a solution for folks to come back to this nation, come for 6 months to 8 months, help us with our agriculture or our construction, whatever facet they can do. This way, they become a recognized member of the American society and the world, because it's very important these folks come here during the summertime and then in the winter they're back in Central America. And that's the reason why Secretary of State Rubio went to Central America to strengthen the relationships there. And that's what is so important, is working with Mexico, working with Central American nations to stop the immigrants coming and create opportunities in those countries so these folks don't have to leave their home and taken advantage
it's
by the
another
cartels.
Story that it's quite ironic that a country that was actually founded by immigrants today is turning them away and saying, we don't want you.
No, we are not turning them away. We are having them come legally.
Well,
look at the amount of Indian Americans coming here.
Well, Indian Americans are also being thrown out of the country. I'm sure you saw the horrific video of the Indian student who was being sort of badly handled by the cops at the airport in Newark the other day. But I have to move on to the other stories.
Visa is a privilege.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying America had a much larger heart, and it was a country founded by immigrants. Well, clearly not anymore. And by the way, it seems tourism is down as well. Even tourists don't want to come to your country anymore. But that's another show, by the way. we have to talk about that. But I want to ask both of you about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, because actually that was the story that was dominating the headlines till all of this exploded. And Mr. Blank, Elon Musk now says he regrets those posts that he made. Mr. Trump, I felt, had a rather lukewarm reaction by his standards to those posts in any case. So you think that they've kissed and made up, or is it a kind of a fragile peace because they know too much about the other?
Yes, it is a fragile piece because they both need each other and they're both frightened about what the other can do. But these two stories do relate because Elon Musk is himself an immigrant and very likely an illegal one. There's a large amount of evidence that he was dishonest in his original visa. He overstayed his visa on false pretenses. And under Trump's own policy, he should be deported. Now, I don't think Elon should be deported because he's an example of the kind of immigration that really helps America. Even though I reject everything that Elon stands for politically, we should be welcoming the smartest people, the most go-getter people in the world to America. That's what made us great. But Elon is exactly indicative of Trump's position, which is basically, as long as you support me, you are good and can stay. The minute that you oppose me, I will use the full power of the US government against you. Elon's done a tremendous harm to America and the world. I think the very worst thing the Trump administration has done is Elon's destruction of America's foreign aid, which has killed several 100 million people so far. 100 million. And none of that is coming back. So yes, they've kissed and made up, but that doesn't say anything for all the people whose lives have been ruined.
Mr. Ahluwalia, I'll give you the last word on the Elon Musk-Trump saga. What are the Republicans saying? I mean, what are the whispers in the corridors? Tell us.
Well, I believe, when relationships are made during campaign and you're in the trenches fighting for liberty, I think you will always have disagreement, as they both are pretty outliers in their own way. And I believe it's good for the country, it's good for America that these two people patch up. And I think eventually they will patch up. Both need each other. And America needs an innovative immigrant like Elon Musk, which millions of other immigrants and all of us who are immigrants here have done. And I think it's going to be fine. It's not important or relevant. What's important is Elon Musk bringing those astronauts back safely. His innovation has helped America and will keep doing it. And I think this is a bump in the road and we'll be fine.
Well, at the moment, his Tesla business at least seems to be tanking, probably as a result of his support for Mr. Trump. We're seeing the backlash in Europe and other key markets, which have directly hit Tesla sales. But gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us on those big news developments from the US. And we leave you now with some of the funniest memes that the internet, of course, has thrown up on the Musk-Trump saga. See you again next week. Goodbye.